Welcome to Two Therapists Talking. The hope for this podcast is to talk about important issues related to couples and individuals who are struggling in their lives with many different issues. I'm David Thompson, a marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Sherie Christensen, marriage and family therapist. Please join us as we explore these issues together, and we hope you will learn and be enlightened along the way. Come find us at twotherapisttalking.com. If you like what you're hearing, please get on and rate us and subscribe to the podcast. Hello and welcome back to Two Therapists Talking. I'm Sherie.
And I'm David.
And we are doing a couple-part series right now on desires. So we're looking at sobriety and recovery from sexual addiction, but also this is completely and totally related to just about everything that we do in life. So it's fantastic. So we'll talk a lot about sobriety, but really these are fantastic concepts to think about, and certainly ones that I can definitely say I need to do even better with in my life in certain areas. So the concept basically that we're discussing and that we talked about last time, to refresh your memory, or if you haven't listened, go back and listen to that one because it's good. We'll kind of get you started on it. But just a brief recap of that is that a lot of times if we're feeling stuck with something in our lives or with sobriety, you're not quite getting there. You're not quite able to fully keep it and hold on to it.
Yeah.
The issue may be, at least in part, an issue of not actually wanting it enough. I don't think anybody would question you don't want it, or you certainly would not even be listening or coming to therapy or doing any of this. You are doing all, like you are on track, but again, there is a space of, at times, not wanting it as much as you want something else.
Yeah. And,
we used the example last time of sugar is this way too, right? Both David and I are like, yep, like I could tell you this week. Like, times when I was like, I really, really, really want to be healthy, and I wanted that brownie, that cookie more.
Yeah.
100%, right? And the concept is that if we're not being fully honest with ourselves about those times, we can't move forward.
Right.
If we're like, no, I really, really, really want it. Like, I want it so bad. Right? And we're not being honest with, in that moment, you didn't want that more.
Right.
Then we can't start to pay attention to why. What is that part? What do we do about that? Yep. How do we shift and change?
Exactly.
And David was talking last time about how at least two of the major components of why sexual addiction, why that's a thing, is an escape from things that we don't want to feel or experience. Right? And secondly, the excitement and arousal and the feeling good that comes from those chemical releases.
Right? Which are significant.
Yes. They're both actually extremely powerful.
Yeah, no doubt. And so we're taking you to task a little bit on, do you want what you think you really want?
Yes.
Not do you want it at all? Do you want it enough?
Yeah, more than the other.
Yep.
And again, doesn't mean you're bad.
Nope.
Doesn't mean you're in trouble. None of those things. It's just a thinking through this and getting super clear and honest with yourself so that you can start making some progress with it, so that you can start the process of figuring out, how do I get this virtue ahead more consistently than the lust.
Yeah, and we're going to focus specifically on virtue and lust.
Yeah.
But this can be lots of things, right? We talked about healthy, we talked about I could do patience versus being angry.
Yes.
Because it feels good to be angry, but I want to be patient. I mean, this can apply to a lot of things. And what I'll often say is it's not enough to know a thing is good or true. Like I teach my children to be honest and to be moral, or I teach my sons to be virtuous. It's not enough to know it. You have to know it and want it. You have to want virtue. But I would say you have to move beyond wanting to loving. So in my brain, this is sort of the way it works, is you know it, then you want it, and then you love it. And we're not done until we've moved all the way through to genuinely loving virtue. Well,
Right.
okay, that's a biggie. Like loving virtue, not just recognizing it's a better way of life.
Thing that I should want.
Society's
do that
benefited
thing. Yes.
if we're virtuous.
Yes.
That's not enough.
It's not at all. We have to fully love it.
We have to
Not
love
just
it.
not do the other thing, like kind of a
Right.
I shouldn't do this, but it's like it's basically not really often on our radar, even because we love this other thing so much more.
Right. Exactly. It's not even, well, here we come back to the temptation piece. If we, by our desires, determine the sizing and the attractiveness of various temptations, what happens to those temptations if our desires change? It'll be, and this is the goal, by the way, gentlemen, right?
And ladies.
And ladies. The goal is I notice the attraction and it stops there. And it is very, very quick. We're talking like split second.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
not staring. Okay. I'm not just notice attraction, which often I know for the guys I talk to are like how their wives are. Yes. They'll notice someone's attractive.
Yeah.
But there's
it's like, okay. And then they move on.
It's like, so what?
Yeah.
So what? And according to their desires. So this is the desire shift. So we're saying, number one, there's 8 steps here. And not in order. I know we love steps.
We're just going to talk about
concepts. 8 concepts. In no particular order. Number 1 is to understand what virtue really is.
Yes.
In the context of virtue versus lust.
Yeah.
And remember that neck and neck race. Ford v. Ferrari.
Yep. That we talked about last time.
I say Ford is virtue. Good old fashioned, honest American values. And Ferrari is like the sleek, sexy. So Ford v. Ferrari, okay? Virtue versus lust.
I mean, that fits with Ferrari's
they probably
life
would,
experience.
They wouldn't argue that, yeah. They'd be like, we're flattered.
Wouldn't.
So, virtue versus lust. Virtue isn't about repression or denying oneself of something.
Yeah, it's not about the don't do.
Right.
Like, you've got to get to the love.
Yes.
Loving the good. It's aligning yourself. It's stepping into that space with God. That alignment. That harmony. You are in the flow of that space.
Yep. When you love virtue, think of it, you're choosing clarity, peace, self-respect, deep connection over the lust side of it, which is a fleeting, temporary pleasure or fantasy. You're choosing integrity with your values over an uncomfortable situation, like I'm bored or I'm alone.
Yeah.
Wife's out of town, husband's out of town, whatever.
I'm lonely, I'm sad, like I had a hard day at work.
I'm overwhelmed. I deserve this because it's been hard for me.
Yeah.
We're choosing something else because we love it. And again, this isn't about just make that choice.
Yeah, it's
this
not
is about
like, okay,
loving that thing.
Yeah, let's weigh it. It's hard, but I'm going to choose this. It's not about that. Again, it's when you love the thing, the other thing just doesn't hold water. Like it just, there's nothing to it anymore. It's like, okay, yeah, but why? Like, why would I choose that thing?
Right.
I love this.
Yep.
I want this. I feel this. I love it. It's in my cells. I'm standing in that path and alignment with God. You're not losing out. There's not like a losing out. There's not a FOMO moment like, oh, okay, it's really hard, but I'm going to choose this one.
Right. And especially when it comes to virtue, not losing out by avoiding lust, what you're doing by choosing virtue is you're preserving something very sacred and whole that contributes to the innocence and the good in the world, which is a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because we want to contribute and we want to show up in a way that makes the world better because we're in it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we teach our children, is it not?
Right.
And so you're seeing things the way God sees them or the way your values would see them.
Yes.
When we've talked about values and identifying like our top 5 values, and you imagine it's like a board of directors. You've got integrity and discipline and spirituality and love and integrity. Let's say this is your board. What would they say? And you can actually imagine that these are people that are telling you, and you have a pretty good idea what they would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How would they see the situation?
Yep.
And
so
you already know what they're going to say.
Yeah, you do.
Pretty darn clear,
it's
right?
It's really clear. Yep. Nobody ever is like, well, I don't know what I should do. Well, what would your virtue say? Well, okay, I know. Like, okay.
And that's where it is. Like, that's right there is the exact thing. As we kind of push it off, we kind of shove it under the surface, or like, I'm not gonna really think about that because I really want this thing, right? We're not paying attention to what we want more.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, but what would your values really say? Well,
and that's always every time I use that in therapy, all the confusion.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's like, well, when you put it that way. Like, why aren't we putting it that way more naturally?
Yes.
Because we want these other things.
Yep.
That's why we're talking about desire.
Yep. And it applies to everything.
Yep.
It applies to everything. But that's where we're coming from, is that when we see that and we're willing to see that clearly, right, then we can start working on, okay, so why is it right now that I desire something that's against my value system, that I want this so much more, that I'm willing to do that. Like, I love this more than I love this.
Yeah. Yep. And that's where we are honest, like Sherry's talking about, and can start to make real progress. Yep. So what sort of homework can you do on understanding what virtue really is? Well, one thing I think we need to do, which we definitely don't do enough of, is reflecting, pondering, contemplating. We do not spend enough time thinking. We spend a lot of time rushing. We don't spend time thinking.
Yes.
So I would say read or reflect, and both really, read and reflect on teachings, information from sources that show
experiences.
How virtue has improved or blessed people's lives. So this can be things like scriptures or stories or poems or movies.
Yeah.
My
Books.
favorite
There's
movie,
lots of
Jojo
different...
Rabbit.
Oh.
It's about
It's so good.
values and virtues and overcoming. Whatever the source is, read and reflect on this and just let it sink down into your soul.
Yeah. How virtue actually blesses people's lives.
Yep.
It's really important. And then you can also ask yourself, okay, what kind of a person do I want to become? Do I want virtue to be a defining characteristic of my life?
Which, from my experience, asking addicts to reflect on this and when the last time is, they don't. They don't reflect on this.
It's
this
painful.
Is not a thing.
It's not
that
fun.
is
It cannot be fun to recognize I
Right.
don't actually want
Do
what I think I
I
want.
want a virtuous life? Really, really do I? Well, if you're honest with yourself, just pay attention to what you do when no one's watching,
Right.
and that will be your answer.
And that is, and again, you're not bad and you're not
Right.
in trouble for having that, right? It's information.
Right.
And there's definitely a part of you that doesn't want you to think about it, doesn't want you to pull it up to the surface
Right.
and look at it clearly, because then you might actually do something different, right?
Right.
And so part of it is deciding that it is important enough and you do want that virtuous life enough that you're willing to look at it.
Right.
And another great piece of homework you can do as part of this is to do those value exercises. Do your values exercises and figure out what values you want to live by. What are the top things that are really critically important to you?
Which we do have an episode on values and behaviors.
Yeah.
And so go back to that if you need to, because that will help you decide what's the most important thing to you.
Yeah.
What things are most important to you?
Right. And this is what, maybe if you want to look at that IFS perspective, like, what does self want? Right? What do you really want? What are your values and your beliefs and all of those things? And then it can help to kind of separate that out from the protectors and these other parts that want the lust. Like,
Right.
it's serving me in all these ways. It's
Right.
really taking care of me in all of these ways. I can't let go of that. I don't want to let go of that, right? Like, you're going to feel a strong pull to that. That's why you're still in the place where you are, right?
Yep.
So, again, not bad, but we want to get to the place where we're willing to actually see clearly and willing to say, yeah, this is where I'm at. And then go find the virtues, go find the things that are going to spark that, and then let that vision and start to inspire your choices. Write down your answers to those questions of, what kind of a person do I want to become? Do I want to live a virtuous life? And write those answers and review them and keep making that a focus, right? We go back to those intrusive thought episodes where we talk about, like, it's which wolf you feed, right? Let's start feeding that virtuous wolf.
Right. And it's between you and God. This idea that nobody's watching, nobody can see. I'm just sitting here minding my own business at wherever, and I can't help it that there's attractive people walking in front of me. Oh, sure, you can't help it. But what do you do when no one's watching? What do you really want most? And pondering and reflecting on this, which does bring us to the second, which is to strengthen your why and define your purpose. So this one's relatively simple and straightforward. Ask yourself the following questions. And again, in a ponderous, contemplative, reflective way. This should take time. Don't rush through this. Why do I want to love virtue? Now substitute eat healthy or be patient or whatever it is. How would my life be different if I did? Like, really think about it. Feel it. Experience it. This is like law of attraction stuff.
Yep.
What relationships would deepen?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
How would I view myself differently?
Yeah. We talk about increasing your sense of self-worth. How would you see yourself differently if you don't have this thing hanging around all the time?
If you were successful at loving virtue. Yeah. And how would I feel?
How would I feel?
Because I think we all know how we feel when we're acting outside of our value systems.
And the few times, that sounds terrible, the times, maybe not few, when we are in our
Yes,
values.
right.
When Ford
Yep.
has pulled ahead
Yes.
and is maintaining the lead for a bit, we know how that feels.
Yeah.
And when we're being honest with our spouse, and we haven't had sugar in a couple of days, and our goal now is a week, we know how that feels.
Yes, it feels so different. And that changes how we view ourselves. And that changes how our life ultimately is.
Yep.
Right? There's so much more clarity. So really like thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And again, you may notice as we're saying these, you may notice some resistance to wanting to do this work, right? And that's legitimate. That's valid, right? That happens. And again, that's a beautiful time to go, maybe I don't want what I think I want as strongly as I think I want it.
Exactly.
And if you don't, again, not bad, not like in trouble, but it's a really like, it's a pondering thing. Like, why don't I? What is so important about this that's holding me back from this, from wanting this?
And it just may be the stumbling block that's been in your way to sobriety.
Yes. Yep. And that could lead you to quite a number of things, quite a number of really important things to heal, whether that's childhood trauma, whether that's like a really poor sense of self-worth and esteem. Maybe it's a million other things, but it's going to give you some really critically important information. And the answer is not, well, it's because I'm a piece of crap. I don't actually want it, right? Like,
Right.
no,
you do
yourself
want it.
wants it. Like, yourself
You're in the
wants
race.
it.
You just may not be in the lead.
Yeah. Yeah. We just need to figure out why it is that it's not in the lead.
Yep.
And so we have to do this work. So we want to make your why powerful enough to carry you through so that you will stay, so that virtue stays in the lead.
Yep.
So you want to not just think about these things and ponder on them, and which you absolutely want to do, but you also want to write it down. You want to read it. You want to say it out loud. You want to think it in your head, right?
Yep.
Like all of these things, when you're hitting all the different senses and all the different ways that we process through things and that we experience things, if you're doing it in all of the ways, many times, you strengthen those neural pathways.
Yep. Which we will actually get to in future steps because it is that important. It is, I don't know that you can do it without it, honestly.
Right.
Because it's a way to practice without being in the situation, which may be too much.
Yeah.
So we can do it in a different way.
Perfect. Yep, exactly. So all these things are going to help you define your purpose in life, and it's going to give you the things that you're going to ponder and reflect enough about that you understand who you are, why you're here, and you can move forward from that space. Write it down. Write it down. Write it down.
Or it's not very
really
serious.
It's not really yet. It's still in your head.
Yep. You're still just kind of indifferent in a way if you don't do some of these things. Which, again, whatever. It's where you're at.
That's where you're at. No big deal.
Yep.
There's definitely times I'm like that with things in my life currently.
Well, I had that brownie, so...
Right, exactly. We're both like, we had that sugar this week.
And it sounds good right now, too. One step at a time. But
One step at a time.
we have 4 more steps to go through and just more information. And so thank you for joining us, and we look forward to sharing more.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Two Therapists Talking. We look forward to sharing more conversations with you. Connect with us at twotherapisttalking.com or email podcast@twotherapisttalking.com. If you like what you're hearing, please get on and rate us and subscribe to the podcast.